Welcome back to the Urban Elements studio. Today we're going to be going in and working on the computer, where I'm going to be using the StiQ program. That is a program that basically mirrors the functions of the Intelliquilter, and I'm going to show you how we use the Panto designs to use a border and corner element to do the design all the way around the four sides of the quilt. It takes a little bit of practice, and I will tell you that each time you do it, it's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be the exact same for every pattern. And I will also tell you that geometric shapes take a whole lot more effort, and in some cases you would also have to really design the quilt from the size of the Panto backwards. Organic shapes would be a little bit easier to make because you could stretch them out a little bit, which is required in designing the borders and edges. So because of that, the geometric will show a little bit more obviously when you distort them. So we're going to go inside and I'll show you how that works on one example of that, and it's going to take a few minutes to get it going, but I will show you the step-by-step process. On today's program, we're going to be working on the IQ stick again on the Intelliquilter program, and today we're going to be working on using a design to do a continuous border around a quilt. So we're going to start on the main menu, and we're going to design sew quilt. Starting new, we're going to reset our clock, and we're going to be working with block patterns today. We would be working manually because the size of the quilt is larger than we could move the head of the machine, but also we're not on the machine today. I'm on the IQ stick on the computer doing design work. So I'm going to say the inside body of the quilt is 60 by 80. And continue. So this is going to be the inside body where we've done some piecing work, and so we're going to hit finished. But we want to now do an area for the outside border, so we're going to hit back, and we're going to add a block, a standard block. Again, we're going to enter this space manually, and we're going to have an 8-inch border on each side. So we're going to add 16 inches total to our 60 by 80. So that's going to make it 78 by 96. So the inside portion here is our piecework, and the outside border here is our border that we're going to be working on. So we can go ahead and hit finished. As you can see, the outside box is red. That's the one that we're going to be working on. So we can hit finished, and we can add our first pattern. Add pattern. And this is going to be a block pattern. It says use an existing block. We're going to be using the block defined in red. If the inner block was red, we could just go ahead and select block and select the outer block. We're going to be using the current block. And in my downloads is the block that I used. It's called Fern, Borders and Corners. And as you can see, this is not a bilaterally symmetrical unit, so I cannot flip this on the X or Y axis, so I'm just going to be rotating this only. This is going to be fitting in this corner. Right now it's scaled at 400%, so I'm going to select scale and bring it in at 100%. And then select move, just like Simon says, and then move it up into the first corner. After I get that into the first corner, I can hit finished. Do I want to add another block pattern? I do, but if I bring in this same corner every time, I would have to rescale it every time. I can save a little time by saying no and then just select copy. So I'll select this same unit and hit continue, and it copied that for me. So I'm going to move it over and then select rotation, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And when I get that to the 90-degree mark, I'll go ahead and finish moving that into the corner. And I'm going to move or place all 4 of these exactly where I need them. And it takes a little bit of finessing to get these where you need them. The reason I need all 4 of these in place is because we can't figure out the size of this border without those in place. And because they're longer on one side than the other, all 4 of them have to be in place before we can continue. So I'm going to go ahead and finish, copy pattern again. I'm just going to keep selecting from the original one and moving them into place. The next one's going to be another rotation. This one's going to be 180 degrees. Finished, copy pattern, continue. This one's a 270 degrees rotation. Move that one down into place. And it's only now that we could start moving in our side elements. Now you can always go back and adjust these 4 pieces if you need to later. Now we're going to add our side element. Again, it's going to be a block pattern. We're going to use our current block again. I'm going back to H for heart fern, and now I'm going to use my heart fern border. Again, notice this is not a bilaterally symmetrical unit, so I can't flip this. I can only rotate it. And as we brought in the other unit at 100%, we're also going to adjust the scale of this one to 100%. I'm going to rotate this. And now we can move it into place. You can see here's where we're going to start building. We have the end of the stitch here and the start of the stitch there, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to go ahead and move that down into place. I'm going to turn my snap on so that I can get these to snap into place. And I'm going to hit finished, copy, continue. going to move this one up, grab it by its start, snap it into place, hit finished, copy, take my copy up, grab it by its start, snap it down to its end, finished, copy, and so now I have these 4 side units. What I want to do at this point is combine all 4 of those. At this area here, I have some overlap. So what I want to do is join 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 4 side units. I'm going to join those all as one, and then I'm going to scale them down just slightly so that they will meet the space between the bottom corner and the top corner. If I join them all as one and scale them all together, you won't be able to see the slight variance in size difference. I've already done this a couple times, so I know what adjustment I have to make, and so that'll save a little bit of time. But first I'm going to select finished. I first want to make sure I've got them all joined, so I'm going to zoom in. And we can see we've got those 2. Those 2 are good. Those 2 are good. And the last 2 are good. So we could zoom out, and now I'm going to hit finished. I'm going to join these 4 units. So I'm going to combine patterns, select the first one to combine with the second, and hit finished. I'm going to combine patterns again. You'll notice both of these light up now because they're joined. Hit continue, select the next pattern, continue, and finished. We're going to do it one more time. Now we have all 3 as one unit with the last, and hit finished. Now we have all 4 of these combined. Now we're going to modify it. We're going to select the unit we're going to modify, and what we're going to do, we need to adjust the height. And as a time saver, I know that right now my height is 60.132 inches. I know I need to adjust it to 57.5. So I'm going to select height. And now I'm going to move it. And I'm going to zoom in. You can see we've got a really good join here. And we have this much distance here. Now I could raise the height a little bit until this meets. Keeping in mind that every time you adjust it here, it's adjusting at the bottom as well. So here we have a nearly perfect join. So now we can zoom out. I can hit finished. I can copy this unit, bring it over, rotate, and move this one into place. And now we have this unit here to do. So we could hit finish there, add pattern. It's going to be block pattern using the current block. Go back to H, bring in our block again. We're going to go back to scale and 100%. And we could rotate that into place. Keeping in mind this little curly cue's on the outside. We want to keep it on the outside. I'm going to grab it by its little snap point. Finished. No. Copy it again. Finished, copy, and again we are too long, so we're going to go through the same process. We're going to combine patterns, pattern 1 with pattern 2, finished. Combine patterns, pattern 1 and 2 with pattern 3, finished. And now we're going to modify that pattern that's too long. And it's going to be the width that we're adjusting. It's 45 inches plus a little bit. We're going to adjust that down to let's say 38.9. You're going to have to play with your measurements, of course, until you get it. Now we're going to move it until you get it the size that you need yours. I think that needs to be moved down. And once we get it to where we're fairly happy, you can hit copy. Rotate. And then we can move this one up into place. And hit finished. I can tell you what I did with mine. I combined the whole top element so that all of this was combined. We already have these combined on the two sides. And I combined the whole bottom unit. So basically I have 4 designs, one across the top, one down the side, one across the bottom, and one across the side. And you could then go across and split these into units, or you could let them sew and hit pause and realign. You could let them sew and to hit an obstruction and then roll the quilt up and realign. It all depends on how you wanted to proceed with the completion of the quilt. But you can see now how you would use the designs for this. The designs that work best are usually B2B designs that were designed for borders. These are the type of designs that don't interlock on the edges, and they don't interlock on top and bottom. So there's not a lot of empty space on either side of the design. Originally they were designed as border elements, and usually you'll find that they have a corner element with them as well. At this point you can get ready to sew quilt, and you could select the first pattern. You could see we would start here and sew across to the top, and then you could then select the next pattern to sew. If we select that, we could hit preview and start sewing, and you could see how it would sew out. Now, we used this particular pattern on the Radiant Garden quilt, so there's an extended version of this if you want to see it sew out on the quilt, how it sewed out. We made it all the way around the quilt. I just sewed in a complete circular fashion, sewing from the upper left-hand corner all the way around the perimeter of the quilt. Every time I got an obstruction, I would just roll the quilt up in advance, and it made it pretty well around the quilt, but I would next time be a little bit careful about how I rolled up the quilt. If you have any questions about the process, you could always leave them in the comment section, but we look forward to seeing how you are successful with this, and we look forward to seeing you again next time in the studio. Until then, take care of yourself and take care of each other.